Good evening and welcome to our amazing session on copyrights and intellectual property. Protect yourself, growing your business. I would like to begin by welcoming our attendees this evening, and I'm going to quickly pass the microphone over to uh, one of our team members, Malala, to introduce our speaker.
Hello, good evening. So, intellectual property, patents, trademarks, copyrights, trade secrets is a topic everyone thinks that they're an expert in. That might be the case, but working with an intellectual property attorney is in your entrepreneurial journey is a must. From basic to advanced, this interactive workshop will touch on often misunderstood intricacies of IP and its worldwide processes and implications. Nzinga Wasemi is the principal attorney at Wasemi PLLC and the executive director at ArtWorks Legal Incubator and Residency Program. With more than 20 years experience, Wasemi's professional passion is focused on assisting inventors, creatives, artists, startups, entrepreneurs, early stage companies, emerging companies with their US and international intellectual property, strategy, protection, enforcement, and monetization. She's a frequent speaker and an international best-selling author that has dedicated her life's work to intellectual property issues surrounding art, emerging businesses, raising capital, business formation, and licensing. Wasemi is also the founding director of ArtWorks Legal Incubator and Residency Program. That's where she teaches new and transitioning lawyers about IP, ethics, and other regulatory considerations in launching their own practices, as well as supporting business ventures. Under Wasemi's administration, ArtWorks has become the only program of its kind to be approved by the ABA, the American Bar Association. So, without further ado, welcome, and I present to you Nzinga Wasemi.
Thank you, Malala Samira. That was very lovely. I am excited today. I'm always excited to talk about intellectual property. It's just something that I love so much. And so we're going to learn today. I'm going to share with you something, what I call it in the 3-2-1. Protect your business, protect yourself, grow your business, and ultimately you'll be growing yourself. So in this presentation, you will learn what I said, what I call a 3-2-1, right? So you'll learn the 3 forms of intellectual property and how they apply to you, 2 ways to use IP to help others right now, and 1 reason why IP is absolutely the only way to build any lucrative business that includes passive income. Plus, a holiday offer service for you, a really cute bundle that I'm excited to share with the group. So let's get started. If I can keep my, okay. So first off, my personal passion is protecting businesses, creatives, artists. That's my personal passion. I think that passion came to me, well, actually I know when I was a little girl, and I'll get to that story probably a little bit later in if we have time. But I just want to say that early on, I became so passionate about how the mind works to create ideas. So I knew I wanted to protect creatives. And think about that term creative. How do you define that? How does one define that? I guess a shortcut answer would be, if you're here today, you're a creative. If you're interested in anything that involves taking nothing, right? Nothing, and creating wealth, then you're interested in intellectual property and you are definitely a creative. So creativity has many paths. Like we often think of musicians, actors, directors, but as well as inventors. But do we think about fashion designers and visual artists, even laboratory scientists and writers? And the businesses that bring it all together, right? So you have publishers, you have production companies, theatrical agents, and many more. The variety is absolutely staggering. the visions and the work that they produce are very different and very unique. But what do they have in common? Intellectual property. So creative individuals and businesses of all types, right? They need intellectual property protection. They need their ideas to be properly protected. They need contracts to be properly drafted to protect the intellectual property. And how do you know if you need an intellectual property attorney? Now, first of all, the ABA says you need it. And many of you may not know that the ABA, the American Bar Association, it is the arbiter, right? The representation of the law. And so if the ABA says it, trust me, you need it. Now, the ABA doesn't create law, doesn't write law, but it makes strongly worded recommendations as to what the law should be, right? So if the ABA says you need it, you probably do. Most businesses, ABA aside, most businesses and individual entrepreneurs that come through our doors or through our Zoom screens, right? They need legal support in caring for their business. They need the legal support to stay in compliance with laws and tax codes, understanding international standards. They need these sort of protections. We have artists, we have scientists, writers, inventors, business owners, that need the legal protections that we offer here. And sometimes even legal intervention and defense to protect their rights as well as their profits. So if the ABA says you need it, boil that down to the ABA says you need it, and you're here intuitively, you know you need an intellectual property attorney. So here are a few examples of IP cases that have been in the media. You got the Blue Ivy trademark battle. That was absolutely insane, where there's a business owner that had created the business, established a business successfully, expanded and was growing, and went so far as to trademark the name of the business, not just say this is the name of the business in terms of creating an LLC or corporation, but went a step further and filed the proper paperwork to protect the name of the company, which is Blue Ivy. Now, this occurred well before this child here was conceived. But here we have this business and a battle with what we want to say now a cultural icon. Then you have TLC. I don't know if you all remember that, but I remember reading this article and just this quote here: "I will never forget the day we were millionaires for 5 minutes," right? That underscores how important copyright protection and ownership is. Then you have Versace and Fashion Nova. I decided to put this one in because sometimes we don't think of fashion as something that can be protected by intellectual property. So in doing this, putting together these cases that have been in the media, I'm just trying to let you know, intellectual property spans across the realm of business in general. It's not only for an author of a book, although it absolutely is, and that's where a lot of our protection started, but it's expanded as technology has expanded, as our minds have expanded, as more ideas have come, right? So I just gave you 3 good examples where you have a small business, you have recording artists, and with the copyright, and now we have something in fashion. And I'd like to include this one here. I like to include it because most of us will agree that President Obama and his brilliant wife are on the high level here of intellectual echelon, right? And I put them there not to drag them, but just to say that if the leader of the free world, and his brilliant wife, who has run companies, and been a consultant and done so much on what we consider the high intellectual realm, if these people here can get twisted up in intellectual property, don't feel bad if you don't understand this stuff. That's why, don't feel bad if you don't understand this stuff. So in this situation, the Obamas, again, sought to use, like with the Beyonce situation, sought to use a name that had already been registered by a company. And so there's two things. Protection is going to give you protection, right? It's going to give you protection so you'll have something to fight with. Usually, intellectual property attorneys will do some sort of research and make sure the name that you're trying to register or the piece that you want registered, whatever it is. Sometimes it's a symbol. We'll get into that in a minute, but sometimes it's a symbol. What you need protected is definitely registered, and that will keep you out of big litigation and save you a lot of money. Not only will it save you a lot of money, think about this here. Blue Ivy, right? Beyonce. It's this company, by registering that mark, yes, they were fighting hard and they fought hard to present the case that this is our name and we registered it before the child was conceived, right? But think about the position that person is or that company is when a Beyonce comes along and you've already protected your mark, right? When the Obamas come along unwittingly and you've already, do you think about, they've hit the jackpot actually, right? Because who knew about a Blue Ivy company before this case? The protection gives you a wonderful position in the world to be able to leverage it to negotiate. If you didn't register it, what are you going to negotiate, particularly with Beyonce? Right? So are you convinced? Well, I hope so. The next question usually we get after we talk about these cases is, what specifically is intellectual property anyway? Right? When you think about the cases that I shared with you, they're very broad. There's some businesses involved, business really, even fashion businesses involved. So what is it that's being protected? I'm going to share with you. There are forms of intellectual property, 3 forms: copyrights, trademarks, patents. Now there are others such as trade secrets, and we're not going to get into that today, but I'm just letting you know that there are other forms. The top 3 that have the greatest standing and a lot of statute and case law behind it are copyrights, trademarks, and patents. So, what is a copyright? Copyright protects rights of authors, artists, musicians, designers, and architects, as well as business owners. What that means there is, if you can put pen to paper, or I see a little silly cartoon character of pencils to paper, if you can put it down on paper and quantify your idea, whether it's a song, right, whether it's a business plan, then you pretty much have a good position to argue that you have a copyright. To give you some specific examples, just a few, because I really could talk about this all day. Books, of course, poetry, online copy. Do we think about online copy? Of course we think about books, but what about online copy? Other works such as plays, motion pictures, even choreography. Do we think that a dance or pantomime can be protected by copyright? It can. Paintings, drawings, sculptures, graphic images, photography. The Copyright Act also protects computer software designs as well as architecture. So before we go to trademark, let's sit here with copyrights for a minute. So we say that you get protection. What do we mean by protect? Copyright registration ensures that the owner has exclusive rights to distribute the work, to perform or display the work publicly, to reproduce the work, to make more work based on the original work, to authorize others to do so and to get paid for it. The purpose of the Copyright Act, two clear reasons. One, to encourage creativity. The law wants to encourage creativity. The legislature, they want you to be creative, because what is our world without creativity? We have no colors, we have no songs, we have no dance, we have no business ideas, we have nothing without creativity. So the law wants to encourage it. In addition to encouraging it, the other prong is that the Copyright Act wants you to be compensated. I think that's the best encouragement a creative can get, is to be properly compensated. So that's what the Copyright Act does for us. So I'm not going to go too much into copyright registration, except I'll let you know that copyright registration establishes a public record that you have a copyright claim. You're putting on notice to anyone that comes across the work, right, that it's yours. The great thing about that is that it ensures that if there's any kind of cause of action, any court action where there's statutory damages and attorney's fees awarded, you will get it. You will not get it if you didn't register. So you may be paying out the nose for an attorney to fight for your rights. And if you properly registered, you'll get all that back. So let's move on to trademarks. If I can get through this fairly quickly. Remember, there's only 3 forms. So there's copyright, the second one is trademark. And what is a trademark? A trademark is a word, phrase, symbol. It's not the work like with the copyright. What it is, it's a name or a sound even. How many of you all remember, what was that thing? I heard it growing up. It was on TV. It was the television station, and it would go boom, boom, boom. I don't know, just popped in my head. That's a sound, right? So it's a word, a phrase, it can be a sound, anything that puts you on notice of who it belongs to. And I'll give you an example. When you think of the Golden Arches, you immediately know the source of your fries, right? When you all you need to see the Golden Arches. When you see the swoosh, did you need to read the word Nike to know where those shoes came from? So a trademark tells you the source. Where did this idea originate? Where does this service come from? Who thought of this first? That's what a trademark does for you. So applying for and obtaining a registered trademark, you're putting on notice would-be counterfeiters, right? As well as unfair competitors of the serious intent of your business to define, establish, and defend its position in the marketplace. Remember, it's a word, a letter, a phrase, a symbol. It could be 3-dimensional shape, a unique color that you come up with that nobody's made before. Anything that when you notice it or hear it, observe it, right? You immediately know who thought of it or where it comes from. And then you have patents. A patent grants property rights to inventors, including the right to exclude others from making or using or offering the invention for sale. There are different forms of patents, and I want to point out that a business model or business system, right, can be considered for a patent. So a patent grants those property rights to the creator. When filing a patent, you have to remember there are different types. So you can have a utility patent, and that's just saying this machine or this composition or this article, this process, this is a useful invention. It's useful. So you're providing use. Like I said, it could be a process of creating something, a way of considering an idea, a way of understanding how a business system works. That will be a utility. Think of it as use, utility, use. Can this idea be used? And then you have design patents. So this can be granted if it's an article of manufacture that's not necessarily useful, but it's beautiful, right? It could be an ornament, it could be an applique, it could be any item that has a beautiful design. And beautiful, of course, is subjective. So let me take out the word beautiful, but unique. How about that? A unique idea in an article. But I wanna emphasize the utility patent, particularly for business owners, right? And then there's plant patents. If someone discovers an invention or a distinct new plant variety, that's where plant patent will come in. And I want to gloss over it because somebody here may be working on a plant patent. So that picture there reminds me of myself. I hope that's not me caught on camera, but that reminds me of myself when I was being bombarded with so much information of intellectual property. And I'm sure you agree that is a lot to chew on, but don't worry. This evening, we're just going to focus on one specific form of IP right now, and that's copyrights. So let me tell you a little story I wanted to start out with earlier, and I thought I might save it here. Let me tell you a story about little girl in Zinga. I remember my grandmother used to cradle me in her bed and tell them the best stories. Didn't have to be bedtime stories, anytime stories. My grandmother had the best stories, the best. I'm sure some of you out there were equally as blessed or even more abundantly blessed than myself to have a grandmother like that. Boy, I would just love going to her house. We called her Mother Dear, and Dear for short. So Dear would let me climb up in her bed, and she'd snuggle me up and she'd tell me a story. But she didn't just tell a story. These are stories that have such intricate detail, right? I'd jump right into bed and listen to the story. The thing about her stories is that they were all written down. She'd read the stories to me that she had written. Beautiful stories, funny stories, amazing stories. I was just a little girl, definitely 5 or younger, but I remember my grandmother and I remember her stories. I also remember one day she was looking very sad. And I'm like, Dear, what's wrong? Dear, what's wrong? And she just slammed a magazine down on the bed and she said, they took my story. You see, my grandmother had sent in some of her beautiful stories into a magazine that was asking for stories to publish. She sent them in and she hadn't been compensated. And even at that young age, I thought, that's not fair. That's not right. It just sat with me of how my beloved grandmother could create such lovely stories and was not compensated. See, she didn't know about Copyright Act. She didn't know about that. In fact, if you think about it, I'm not going to give away my age, but the Copyright Act was amended in 1976. So around the time this was happening, definitely she didn't know about the Copyright Act. And I'm thinking that maybe it hadn't even been amended yet. But I remember feeling in my heart that something's not right, that's not fair. And as I grew older, I realized I wanted to commit my life's work to helping creative people be fairly compensated for their work. It's not right that somebody can come along and take your work, right? And the phrase I use is they will eat off of it forever. Their children, their grandchildren will eat off of your work if you don't properly protect it. So that's why I get so passionate about the work we do here at ArtWorks. So I also say in my classes I teach, I tell the young people, somebody's going to exploit your idea. It might as well be you. So today I want to share with you some ways that you can make money with copyrights. Remember earlier we said that the Copyright Act, it protects the rights of authors, artists, musicians, designers, architects, business owners. And really there is no business without some form of intellectual property, either created, borrowed, licensed, or stolen, right? In my grandmother's case, stolen. So we're thinking about books, online copy, plays and motion pictures, choreography, pantomimes, musical works. So let's see if I have a slide to give you an idea of that. And I don't think I do. But when you think about orchestral or instrumental compositions and sound recordings, visual art, even paintings and photographs, and nowadays even selfies. When you think of a selfie, do you think of that as a protected work? So the copyright protects business owners as well. And that's something I definitely want to emphasize here today, that it does that because it protects business ideas, business plans, business models, as well as computer and software designs. And like I said, as well, I said architecture. Give me a quick second here. Okay, there we have it. I lost you for a minute. So our secret sauce for your success is all about protection. It's all about protection. And what do I mean when I say protect? Remember, copyright registration ensures that the owner has the exclusive right to distribute copies of a work, to perform it, to display it publicly, to reproduce it, to make more work based on it, right? So let's get even more specific and cut out the legalese jargon, right? Think about business strategy. That right there will lead you straight to your intellectual property analysis. And from there, if you have a business strategy, you have some sort of intellectual property in there. There's some sort of intellectual property that can be registered. And once you get it registered, you have an opportunity to do bigger deals. If you haven't started doing deals, you're in a great position to start pitching deals. And that's what we do here to help you achieve success. So I say, this is my little term here, that copyright protection is the first step in understanding intellectual property as the insurance plan for your business. Copyright protection is for books. I'm going to go back over this again. Online copy, because I don't want you to forget. Plays, motion pictures, choreography and pantomimes, music, songs, sound recordings, visual art. I'm back to the selfies as visual art. And it also protects business ideas, business plans, and business models, as well as computer software designs. Think about coding. So when we talk about protection specifically, we're going to focus on the exclusive right. So you may have someone that created an idea or has a really cool business plan or business model or business system, right? Once that's protected and registered, they can do whatever they want with it. They can sell it. They can enter into collaborative contracts. At a minimum, going out there, their online presence is protected. So like I said, enough of the legal jargon. Just take a look right there at that beautiful graphic. Pause the legal jargon and just follow the stick man. This is what intellectual property would do for you. It will put you in a great position to move forward, protected, and confident, really. Move forward confidently. So how about some everyday real world examples? Put the legal jargon away. What do we have here? Emphasizing that IP protects your brand, right? Look, when you see brand, what does that include? Design, strategy, logo, right? Advertising, marketing. Intellectual property registered protects all that for you. And then your online presence. That's so important because in this day and age now, because everyone's using not intellectual property. Yes, they are using intellectual property. They don't realize it's intellectual property, but they're throwing their ideas out online without the proper protection. It happens all the time, every single day. IP will protect your online presence. Who's not online these days? You don't even have to have a business or anything to promote, but you have a brand that you're trying to create. Online presence, everybody's online, so protect it. So ArtWorks, everyday real world examples. Here's an example. Someone can spend 2 hours drafting an ebook. We've seen it happen. Publish it and make sales in the same day, or right, license that work if they don't have the time or energy or know how to publish it. Think about that. If you're a consultant with a unique business model to help businesses grow, remember a business plan is designed to make you thousands of dollars, millions, or even billions. I'll say billions. Any company out there that's making billions, they're not doing it without intellectual property. It's absolutely impossible. But you must protect it because somebody's going to use it. Somebody's going to use it. It will be exploited. It might as well be you. Mr. Stennett, if you're still there, can you pop back on? I'm thinking that you can help me out with some, I don't know, do you have any examples that you can think of? I'm horrible about on the spot thinking of examples. We have so much stuff going on at ArtWorks, but you always have really great examples to share with people, please. Sure. I know, you know, there was a songwriter that wrote that song in the morning, recorded it in the afternoon, right? And we were really on their case about making sure before you go into the studio, a handshake is not enough to know who's going to own the masters, right? And they were selling by dinner. But I'm sure you have somebody else that might fit this.
Can you hear me all right? Yep, it probably won't show my video unless you stop the sharing. But you want me to stop? It's up to you. It's fine. I mean, it won't show my video. So for those who are watching, it wouldn't show me unless I.
Okay, let's stop.
Okay, so.
I'm nervous. What are you gonna share?
No, I think the most recent one that I can think of is there was a client recently that reached out to us. He was writing short stories, and what was great for his short story scenario was he had never done this before, but he had always dreamt of being an author, and so he wasn't very excited or confident, you know, in his story, and he just wanted to know, what do I do with this? How can I get this in a book so you know kids everywhere could hear my story? And so we had a discussion about all the different things that he could do. So we talked about, you know, going ahead and filing a copyright for it. But when we discussed what are the different things, we talked about him putting it in a book, making it into an ebook. You know, that way schools can have it in libraries and, you know, families. But then we started to get a little creative. We thought, well, what if this character that he had could have adventures, right? And so now we could then convert this story into an online video, you know, product that can be, you know, put into episodes. So now there's another execution of taking the physical book to the ebook, to the ebook into another means of actually using the book. He can also then, you know, for those who remember characters like Dora the Explorer and, you know, any of those people from Nickelodeon back in the day, you know, you could see those characters come to life in garments. So, you know, think about those important taglines from the story that is protected, and now we can transfer the imagery of this character onto garments, t-shirts, or, you know, denim jeans, and make, you know, characters, and now the story has come further into life, and now it's becoming a lifestyle product, right? You can then do one more cool thing, which is make a stuffed animal, place the recording in the stuffed animal, and now you're into merchandising. The same book, the same story is now on audio and is into a character, a stuffed animal character. So those are the various ways that this individual was now, you know, blown away that he could take his product, just a small story that he was, you know, calling a small story, and now turning it into a multifaceted media and product and merchandising empire for himself and for his family, because that copyright can continue to be renewed and transferred into assets for a family.
That's so true. It's like, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to protect your work. and your ideas. Sometimes people have an idea, they don't necessarily have a work product yet. You can protect the idea. It's so important. I mean, if you want to monetize it, it's important. There are people that just want to share it with the planet, and I don't look down on that. But if you want to monetize your ideas, you have to protect it. And remember, there are people that are on the internet, they are scouring databases looking for great ideas. So they find a great idea. If it's not protected, what do you think they do? They take it and flip it. But if it is protected, now we're talking about a negotiation on how much they want to pay you to use the idea. Or maybe you don't want to let them use the idea. Or maybe you're busy and say, okay, I'll let you use it for 6 months. Pay me for the 6 month using, then that's it. You know, you're in a position to do all sorts of negotiations. And I always like to talk about McDonald's, because not only the Golden Arches, you're thinking about, you know, when you see that, that's where your fries are from, but also the McDonald's business system. The business system, that's intellectual property. Keep that in mind, the business system itself. So how many people come through ArtWorks? They have a business system, and they're not thinking that it needs to be protected. They're not even thinking long shot in terms of, sometimes we're talking about people about how to go ahead into a franchise business. They don't even realize that you can franchise your idea before you make it into this big business. If it's a great idea, there are people out there that want to leverage it for their own uses, right? And they will. So it's important that you protect it. So thank you for helping me out with that. Let's see, what's my next slide? Okay, we talked about copyright, you know, for professionals. It's a small investment today that we're telling you that will allow you the exclusive right to license, franchise, protect your business ideas, and turn them into recurring income forever. We can show you how it can become forever. What will this do for you? It will allow you to confidently negotiate deals, launch or relaunch your brand. And I say confidently negotiate deals because a lot of times we help creative people, whether they're artists or business owners that have a really great business model or business plan that's unique to them. Once it's protected, they're moving with a little bit more swag, as they say. They're moving with a little bit more flair because they know they're protected. They can share with the world now. You can walk in with your portfolio and share everything now with an investor, with a potential business partner. That gives you the confidence to negotiate a better deal for yourself. How are you going to negotiate a deal of something that's not protected? I was on the phone with someone a little while back talking about going into a meeting. I just cringe when I think about it. Going into a meeting, her company is unique, doing well. So she goes into this meeting because someone contacted her talking about maybe investing or merging their companies. And she went into this meeting with zero protection. So that right there is cringeworthy. But you know what else is more cringeworthy? The person she sat down for this beautiful business meeting with asked her, what have you protected? That's a scary question, because two reasons. One, as soon as you walk out of the door, they can go grab it. You left yourself wide open. She was mesmerized by this company reaching out to her. But the question is, what have you protected? She protected nothing, right? The other scary part of that question is it will let a business person know that you're not as savvy as they may have thought you to be if you're moving out there in the world and you protected nothing. So I don't know, I just thought about that. That situation. I was on the phone with this person and just trying to see what we could salvage out of the situation. But you just have to know that this happens every day. Let me tell you another story. I said a second ago that I couldn't think of any stories and I wanted Senate to help me, but I'll tell you a story about a client who did not protect his work. In fact, someone else registered the copyright and they licensed it out. The courts have consistently held that it's up to the creator to protect their work. It's not up to the person that wants to infringe on it. It's up to the creator. So when you put your work out there on the internet or into a client's hands even, or even sharing your ideas with a friend, you are essentially giving it away into the public domain. And even friends, you know, I have another scenario running in my head where a woman shared an idea with a friend and they took that idea and created an entire television series off of it. She knew nothing about it. The series won all kinds of awards, the actors, all kinds of awards. She'd never seen the show before. One day she was sitting down with her sister with a cup of coffee, chatting, and she's like, wait a minute, that's my show. That's my story. Down to the characters' names, to the style of dress, the entire plot was hers. So even sometimes when you're sharing ideas with friends, if you're not protected, now let's take a step back. If she had protected her work, whoa, she would be set for life. That's how successful that television show was and how long it ran. She would be set because she would be able to take her copyright in hand and ask for what was due her. Now, she was a creative person and she just wrote down the ideas and she was happy to share with a friend. She may not have been thinking about launching something like that, or maybe she felt like she was too busy for it. Oh, I'll get around to it in retirement, or I'll wait to the Christmas break. She's a professor. I'll wait till the Christmas break and do it. For whatever her reasons were, she was just sharing with a friend. But wouldn't you love it if she had protected that work, right? Shared it with a friend, they took it and made a gold mine out of it. And all she would have to do is show up with a copyright in hand. This happens across media, of course. Intellectual property trends intersects with entertainment, but I'm telling you, there is no business. No business exists without intellectual property. And businesses do this too. Businesses do this too. I'm sure you all watch Shark Tank, any of those shows. All of that's intellectual property, a business system, not just a product, an idea. Any idea that's unique should be protected. And so when you put your work out on the internet or share it with anybody without protection, you're essentially giving it away. So why are the courts so hard on us about this? Because it takes all of 2 seconds to contact an attorney and schedule an analysis of your idea to see if it's protectable. 2 seconds, pick up the phone, right? But most people don't do that. And so courts don't like that. You don't do it and we have to come behind you and police it. You didn't care. Most people don't do that. They get excited, you know, and launch. They launch their business without protection. And then they worry about the repercussions later. But remember, if you have a unique idea, protect it. Don't worry about repercussions later. What happens is if someone takes your unprotected ideas, maybe you'll spend a fortune in legal fees trying to stop them from doing that. And maybe you'll even win if you can prove that it was your idea. It's going to be a long battle, right? But guess what? If you have your work registered, not only is stopping the infringement easier and far less expensive, you get to go back in time and get your back money. You get money from what they should have paid you from day one, right? If you did not register, remember the Copyright Act is to encourage creativity and compensate. So if you did not leverage the Copyright Act and have your work registered, you're not going to get that back money. So a company can become worth billions of dollars, right? And then you come in and you fight long and hard and you prove that it's your idea and it was your concept in the first place and you win. They don't have to do that idea anymore. They've already made their billions, right? So think about that. If you don't register, again, best case scenario is that you may be able to stop them from continuing to leverage your ideas after you spend tons of dollars on legal fees. But if you do register and someone happens to infringe, you get to stop them and dividends on what they made in the past. And And you get to decide if you want to allow them to continue using your idea going forward for a fee. And so what about the reverse scenario? You do all the work, your idea is making you a boatload of money, and someone comes along and poses as you, right? We're in a digital world. That ain't hard to do. So now they're leveraging all of your effort to make, that you've put in to make your business profitable. So is it fair for them to be able to pose as you? No. But then again, an attorney is 2 seconds away, so why wait? Most people either don't know about IP or they think it's too expensive to protect their ideas. They think it's too expensive. I think it's too expensive not to protect your ideas, but I'll say for the most part, it can be extremely expensive. You know, with attorneys running between $250, which is very low, to $600 an hour. I've seen attorneys charging $1,200 an hour. You know, then they have the paralegals, they're billing for $95 an hour up to $150 and $200 per hour. And then you have the search report, that's going to take hours. Then you have all the research involved to fully vet your idea. It could easily run you $5,000 or more, right? If you're looking at that hourly billing. But that's an investment, a wise one, but an investment nonetheless. But, and I wish I could do a drum roll. Right? There's ArtWorks. ArtWorks will help you be in a great position to source prospects and negotiate deals without worrying about all the NDAs that nobody wants to sign. Right? That's what ArtWorks will do for you. ArtWorks will put you in a position to stop hiding, right? You'll be able to go public and launch, if you haven't already gone public, which I hope not, but launch and relaunch your brand or brands without worrying that someone with deeper pockets will leverage it faster than you can get your foot in the door. That's what the protection will do for you. So this is a no-brainer to me. Of course, I love intellectual property. It's what I do. It's a no-brainer to protect your ideas, confidently leverage them, and increase revenues. What will increased revenues do for you? Clearly growth, right? Bring in more clients and possibly investors to help you even grow more. So we want you to be able to stay in this green growing area. You can continue to grow. So here's the drum roll, there's ArtWorks. Today is a special for those who've received this personal invitation to join us today in today's webinar. So I just want to remind you that this was a special invitation only webinar, and ArtWorks is here to help you. So with the holiday bundle, let's see, you will get a consultation with a licensed attorney, not for $600 an hour. You will get a consultation with a business strategist, not for an hourly rate. You will get an analysis of your intellectual property. And you need an analysis because it comes in layers. You know, a lot of times people come, oh, I need a copyright. Well, maybe the trademark is more important than the copyright right now. You know, so you get an analysis of what you need, not at an hourly rate, even if it takes us hours to help you figure it out. You will get all the necessary legal research for your analysis and a little report. So you'll have your intellectual property documented even before you actually register it. You will get intellectual property legal support and legal representation throughout the duration. And when I say duration, we're talking about when you file a copyright, it can take anywhere between 8 and 12 weeks, sometimes a little longer depending on how intricate it is. You'll have legal representation for months and not at an hourly rate. Online networking, of course, with ArtWorks Network. And then opportunities to leverage your intellectual property and so much more. So I want to remind you that ArtWorks is able to offer you all that because we are committed to assisting creative individuals and emerging businesses in protecting their rights. So first, I want to, or not first, lastly, I want to congratulate you on taking the first steps to protecting your intellectual property. And so I guess, is that about it on my end? Oh, you're going to ask yourself the question, is the bundle for you? I'm going to say yes. If you have a brain in your head, it's for you. Why? Because your brain creates ideas, and ideas need to be protected. And once they're protected, you can leverage to make revenue, right? So if you're a business owner who wants a surefire plan to expand your business by leveraging your IP, this bundle is for you. If you know the value of an experienced legal support team, this bundle's for you. If you know a business owner or creative person, you may not be one. You know, not everyone's creative, not everyone's a business owner, but if you know one who could use some support, this is a great gift for the holidays. So go ahead, sign up today and get some time with me or one of our specially trained attorneys to explore deeper to help you protect and leverage your intellectual property and double your returns for the future. And that's it. I'm out of here. I'm gonna let Jeremy take the reins, and I would like you to tell everyone about this delicious offer that the ArtWorks folks have put together for us today. Even I was a little bit shocked when I saw that the board approved of this particular offer. But because our group is small and it's invitation only, you're going to be shocked at finding out what ArtWorks has put together for you.
Now, before you go away, I had one question that actually a couple that I wanted to see if you could put some detail on. And one of our attendees asked the question. She said she created and released an ebook, and she did not, file a copyright for it. And the question is it too late to obtain a copyright?
Wait, what happened? She did not file copyright, and what happened?
She wrote and released an ebook, but she did not file the copyright.
No, it's not too late. It's not too late. As soon after as you can, it's not too late. But you got to do it. You got to do it, because if it's not protected, someone can take it. And like I said, someone taking your work isn't the worst thing if you're credited for creating the work, because that means they've done a lot of the leg work, and that means you're going to get a bigger check, right? So it's not the worst thing, but it puts you in a position to either allow them to continue to use it or stop them from using it. You're just in a better position when the work is protected.
Right. And one more, thank you so much. The person who asked that question, if you needed a follow up, go ahead and write back in. But I think thank you for answering that. And there's one more where this individual was asking about writing multiple stories and whether or not it would be expensive to be able to get all of those stories protected, considering the cost, because there's so many different stories.
So what happens in your intellectual property consultation, the analysis that goes into that, it will help you get guidance on how to combine some of these works together so that you can get one copyright or two, depending on it. I don't want to say specifically what it is because I haven't seen it, but no, you absolutely will not have to register each individual one if you come to ArtWorks, because we have a system in doing this, and I don't even want to put it on the recording, but it's our proprietary system, right? We need a patent for that, that I think would definitely benefit people that have multiple stories or even multiple ideas that need to be protected, and that you're not having to, the way we can categorize them, you're not having to do each individual one, because if you do each individual one, that will run you high on the fees. But we work with artists that produce stuff daily, and what we tell them is, at least once a month, can you send that over? And we can do it in bulk. At least once a month, send it over. Sometimes people are so excited, they're putting it out on the internet, and they're sharing it, and sometimes they're publicly performing it. It's like, can you just send it over and we'll take care of that for you? So I hope that answers the question, that no, we do a lot of copyrights in bulk, and that cuts way down on the fees. It was a really great question, because most people don't even know that.
Absolutely. All right. So thank you so much. I am going to bring up the window. This is like Wasemi just shared with you all. This is an offer for those creatives that are here. If you could stop sharing, I'm going to just bring up this screen. If there are any more questions, feel free to drop those questions into the chat. We also did place that link for this location in the chat as well, so you should be able to see that there. And for those who are here, this opportunity is for you. So as Wasemi shared, it's a private legal consultation. What's funny is traditionally an hourly rate for a consultation would range anywhere from $350 to $500, right? Depending on where you are and what is the provider, the attorney provider. So you're gonna get something like let's say a $400 in the middle, a $400 consultation value. A private strategy consultation. This is how could you monetize your protected work? That's what that strategy is going to do. That private strategy is going to help you to think through that work, right? And so that value also falls into a bucket of about $450 an hour. And so let's think of that as an additional value that today, because of this particular exclusive presentation, and especially for the women's group that's a part today, WPN, am I right? Yes. Okay. For any of those there, and I think there's some other creatives that's attending in the attendees. This is a great time for you to get this wonderful package and a personalized copyright filing fees. The filing fees excluded for $89.99. If that's not a holiday bundle, a bundle of amazingness that can turn into lots of wonderful things for you financially and for your family in the great future, I don't know what is. So feel free to visit. The link is in the chat, artworksnetwork.com forward copyright holiday gift bundle.
Is that only for tonight's attendees?
It's gonna be.
I got a couple text messages from people that couldn't make it, and they're hoping we hold it open for them.
It's gonna be only for the tonight's attendees. You attended tonight, just because you're here tonight, you get this phenomenal offer. What we can do is maybe if I'll put it over to you and let you decide if you want to. Because we know that there's a lot of creative women in your WPN group, and we'll put it over to allow for them to be able to access this link until how about 12 o'clock tonight? How about we leave it open until 12 midnight? They can access this offer for their website. How about that? From the website. Does that work?
That's fine, because then we're recording, right? Because I promised somebody that I would send them the recording because they had something else going on.
Okay.
These are my sisters, right? So I know they have other things going on in terms of in their business development. So I said I would send the recording, and hopefully they'll get a chance to see it before midnight.
All right, excellent. So this small investment will allow you to have an exclusive right to license, franchise, protect your business ideas, and turn them into reoccurring income forever. Thank you so much. We're so glad that Wasemi has provided you all with this amazing workshop. I'm gonna just check one more time if there is any other questions. If not, I'm gonna bid you a good evening and allow us to say happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays. And I'll see everybody. I can't see you now because we're on webinar mode, but I will see you next week in some way. I'm sure I'll see you at one of our sessions or one of our meetings. And I'm just very glad you were able to join us this evening. Now, I'm going to share the link